I said this was supposed to be 145 degrees. He knows my propane's off. Well, I'm a big giant cheapskate, and I don't want to pay for propane. Plus, it's keeping it a little too hot. What I've decided to do is to keep it between 140 and 150, keeping as close to 145 as I can. So as soon as it gets too cool, I'm going to turn that propane back on. Now, this here is a thermometer. Thermometer, numbers on it, pretty cool. Anyway, get a thermometer. You need a thermometer for everything in brewing. Sanitation's your number one concern. Temperature's really big too. Those enzymes don't work at the wrong temperature. I'm going to stir this up real good. Hun, can you get a shot of this? It should look something like that. Now, once you brew for a while, you'll think that's actually quite beautiful. Don't tell your friends, they'll think you're weird. So, let's go on. I want to give you a couple tips that I forgot the first time. Tip number 1, keep a brew journal. Unlike a regular journal, it doesn't make you a pre-pubescent girl. What's that word?
Pubescent.
Pubescent, yeah. Normal journals make you a little girly man. But beer's manly, so you can do a beer journal and you're a man. You're an American. So anyway, brew journals, really good. Okay, all joking aside, seriously, keep a brew journal. Make sure what you write in there, don't make it too detailed or you'll never read it again. It's a recipe book. First thing I write is every single thing that goes in there. I write how many types, how many pounds of each different grain I'm using, how many ounces of hops I'm using. We'll get into hops later. How many gallons of water I'm using, and the type of yeast that I'm using. Okay, keep your brew journals. Make sure you have dates on that. Also, I think it's a really good idea to keep your exact temperature when you put in the carboy, which will be one of our last steps. It's also a really good idea to do your original gravity and your final gravity. And we will go over specific gravities near the end when those come in. I would really suggest don't, hear me say this and be like, oh, he said a 9-gallon brew pot. Let me pause my YouTube and buy one. Wait till I say everything and go back. Okay, so that's a note on that. Note on recipes. You can get recipes anywhere. There's a book called The Complete Art of Home Brewing or The Complete Joy of Home Brewing. Really great book. I read it cover to cover. Great information in there for extract or all grain. And extract brewing again. It's still brewing, and you can really make some great beers. But it's not all grain brewing. All grain is starting from scratch, so I'm biased to all grain brewing, but I don't want to put down extract brewing. Great way to brew. And I want to make a quick apology. I know you would probably all much rather be seeing my lovely wife than myself, but she's holding the camera, and I'm not, so I'm sorry. There you go. Okay, I want to give you a sneak preview for the next step. Now remember, we're keeping this as close to 145 as we can. Now there are things you can make with a cooler, where you get it to the right temperature and you dump it all in a cooler and that cooler keeps it at the right temperature. If you want to do that, that's great. I would actually strongly suggest it because you're going to save on propane, you're going to keep the temperature closer to what it really needs to be, and all around it's a better idea. I haven't made one yet. I actually plan to make one, but until I make one, I'm not going to give you any guidance on that, but there are YouTube videos over there. Just type in converted cooler or wash tun, I think it's called. I can't remember. Or read that Complete Joy of Home Brewing book. Tells you how to make one. So, now what happens when we're done with this? Okay, so it's sat for 1 full hour. Everything should have been converted. There's something called an iodine test you can do to make sure. I'm not going to show you how to do that because I've never used it. Again, I should, but I don't. And this is like your first all-grain beer. I'm telling you the simplest you can do it, the least steps, the least equipment. But the next thing that you're going to have to do is, remember I told you to put a bunch of grain and water in here. How are you going to get that grain out? You don't want 10 pounds of grain in your beer. That would taste really bad. Actually, it would go bad and you couldn't drink it because the skins, the hulls, have a lot of tannin in them, which makes things bitter. A little bit of tannin is good. You want a little bitterness, but not too much tannin. So really, you have to get these grains out. All right, there's a trick to this. No one tells me. One guy I met at IHOP of all places. By the way, gross food. But no, I'm kidding. Met him at IHOP of all places. Told me this great little trick. All right, so there's a couple things you need. This is a brew bucket. Very simple. It's just a bucket. They have drilled a hole in it, added this spout, and it's just open and close. Very simple mechanism. You can see the spout was $3.50, again from Great Fermentations. The bucket was something $8.99. This, the cooler, you know, you've got a cooler, you've got the pipe that goes in it. It's not expensive, but it's like 20 bucks. This was about 10. $9 and $3, $12. Not a big deal. And then a paint bag, which is $5. Now, that's the way it works. This is just a bucket with a spigot on it. Now, I'm going to use these later. I'll show you how when I get to that. Hey, I sanitize those. That's important to know. This is a paint bag. You don't get it at the brew store because they don't have it. You go to, I don't know, Menards, Home Depot, Lowe's, some home improvement store, and you get a 5-gallon paint bag. Go to the guy at the paint section and say, hey, I heard about a 5-gallon paint bag. I need one. I guess it keeps dirt out of your paint or something, but it's also great at getting grains out of your wort. All right, just get this 5-gallon paint bag and get your cheap little bucket here. Now, a lot of times the spout and the bucket are sold separately. It's super easy. There's just a thing that unscrews on this end and unscrews on, and you pop it in there and you screw this end. Really easy. A little extra water in there I didn't need. Take the paint bag. Got an elastic top. Really, this is easy. Take the paint bag, put it in here, stretch that top over the top of your brew bucket. That's all there is to it. When we get to the correct point, my hands are also sanitized. I wash my hands on sanitizer. Always sanitation. We're going to take these two and we're going to pour everything from this bucket into here. And then I will go into more depth onto exactly what we're doing when we get to that point. It's all actually very simple. I think that's it. So let me leave it there for the moment, and I'll be back soon.